What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. You searched it out and you found it. It's your lucky fucking day. This is the podcast where we dive into the deepest, darkest, murkiest waters with a plethora of legendary guests, and today is no different. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, the numero uno scumbag, Rex Ruger. That's Rex with 3 X's, ladies. Read between the lines. You might also know me as AKA the King of Sleaze, AKA the Hair Metal High Priest, and most importantly, AKA Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. There he is. That's my pops. Take one look, and it's evident that I am the son of glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams. I got a million fans because I'm your ice cream man, Mr. Wop Bop Loo Bop Wop Bam Bam Shazam. Hot damn. Woo! In the wise words of Ric Flair, woo! I am feeling good, and most importantly, we are all looking good on our end, and that is, of course, made possible by voila. Love this stuff. Coming to you, as always, from the Lavender Lush Lounge of Love, where it all goes down, and joined always by my friend, my confidant, the guy guarding the door to the studio, my right-hand man that I trust with my life, Mr. Keith Hernandez Puppet, a man who doesn't say much, but when he does, I hear him. This is, of course, the No Frills podcast because you get plenty of thrills, and that's looking at this luscious face. And because I ain't got time for all that, because I got to give you my little spiel, and then I get right into some ass-kicking guests, which you are seeing me invite now. And today we got ourselves a good one. I'm excited about this. Feeling good, looking good. What more do we need? And there's our guest right now. So let's get down to it and chop it up with my man here on Pod Scum. Let's do it. Here we go, here we go, here we go. We'll get him. There he is. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, well, it's all good. I was so confused because I was using Google Meets.
I know.
A couple of hours earlier, and it was working fine. And I was just like, oh, it's going to be so easy. And then I was just like, I can't get this link to open. It's just like so confusing. Sometimes you just have to download a different browser and try to open the browser. But
it's like I always say. It's always like I say when it goes belly up on here, man. Thank God technology is making everything so goddamn easy for us, right? I mean, Jesus. Can't have a simple conversation. This is, of course, Jonas Wikstrand from the band Enforcer, but you've got other shit going on, and I like it. First of all, I'm really digging this album by Forever. Explain why you did this, and then we'll get into the Enforcer stuff. What the internets is calling 80s sci-fi rock.
Yeah, Forever is like my love baby when it comes to music. It's like everything that I ever wanted to write for myself as like a passion project, and everything that I'm listening to. And sometimes it's hard to channel that when you work on like productions or work with other bands. And I just wanted to do something for myself. This is me. This is the music that I am, that I breathe, that I like, So it started as just like a passion project to just do something for myself. And it started in one end being like a really like heavy rock with like some like pop melody influences. But then it has taken so many different turns and just it's become so much for me. It's like everything that I write is forever. Like a pop song is forever, a rock song is forever, like a Fleetwood Mac acoustic song is a forever song. It's just like everything is a forever song. Everything that I like to sing is a forever song.
So you're saying that this is a band, though, that really going forward, should you continue with the project, it's going to be very hard to label. It's not going to be genre specific. It's going to be hard to pigeonhole. You want all those different styles and genres as a part of it?
I would say like I have like a complete second album finished, and I would say it's connected in a way that everything is like it's like soundtrack music. Right. I would say like sound like 80s, 90s. Soundtrack music is what I've been trying to go for, and there's just a lot of, so it has a cohesive sound to that everything has a different story, and everything like all the songs are like individually different, but they have like a cohesive feeling because they all feel like a soundtrack.
Right, right. When we got locked down, rewinding a couple of years, when we got locked down with all the COVID bullshit and weren't able to do the things that we wanted to do, and limitations were put on our activity and stuff like that. Did you find that to be an abundantly fruitful time for you, to create? Like, what did you do when you were kind of bogged down there? Like, is this when a lot of this stuff was taking shape? Did you find it a great time to just kind of hunker down and create?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I did so much during the lockdown. I got so much like music going, like careers going, like films going. I think I in the lockdown, I scored 2 features. I like finished the Forever album. I did like a symphonic project where I composed like a symphony, and I had like the sheet music and the script sent out to musicians, and they were recording all the parts in their home studios and then put it back together in the computer. Cool. So I wasn't lazy during the pandemic. I was working really, really hard, and like I feel like a lot of those things became really fruitful in the end, because I feel like a lot of the opportunities that I'm giving now is because I lay down so much of the groundwork at that point. Like, I mean, the groundwork started earlier, but it's definitely like, it wasn't all bad things,
But for fans of Enforcer, though, going forward, though, we'll put to bed any doubts people might have. Not going anywhere in Enforcer, though, right? Enforcer is the main gig.
Enforcer has a lot of plans. We have like finished a full album. We have touring plans for 23. So I mean, it's alive and going.
Yeah, good. And I'm interested about the dynamic with you. Of course, are an Enforcer along with your brother Olaf. What's the dynamic like? Because it has gone well for some bands. Other bands, we've seen it completely combust and just blow right up. The family dynamic. What is it like working in a band with your brother?
I think we work really well together, but we're also like very individual. And I think in contrast, like, we need projects on the side of Enforcers to be able to collaborate on what is Enforcer.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why I have Forever. That's why he like has all these other projects that like, and then we can channel, just like purify whatever goes into Enforcer to be what that is. So we don't have to have, like, we can channel all the other creativity that doesn't fit under the radar or the brand of Enforcer in other projects. And that makes it easier for us to like focus on, if we take that all the way, what is the band? Like, where do we go from here? And and I feel like for this new album, like, my brother has been taking the lead on like basically everything, production and making sure that things happen, like contact with label. Like he's been pushing it, and he's been like the front man and the front person doing everything. So I help him whenever he needs help and whatever he needs help with, and collaborate writing songs. But I feel like it's important with the dynamic that one of us is the driving force.
Right.
Because if we're driving equally, I feel like we'd have pulled it apart so fast. So I'm just like, I believe, since he was the one like starting Enforcer, he was the one having like the idea of what the music should be like, what it should look like, what it should sound like. Like, I'm letting him like plow it away.
Right.
And I'll help him with my expertise comes in, if it comes to like song structures, like writing songs, production things, like playing in elements. But I feel like he is the mind for it, and I let him be the mind for it, because that's how it's always worked, and that's and that's kind of what it is,
What's it like, the origins of the band? You had said it was kind of Olaf's thing in the beginning, but what got you guys on that path? Was that always the game plan from the time when you were young, that you decided early on that music was going to be a career path? Did you have any notions about doing anything else?
we knew that. Like I knew that when I was 6 years old that I was going to do music, and
Yeah.
like I haven't for a little bit. I wanted it to be a hockey player too, but that was competitive. No, but like I feel like since we started jamming in the basement when I was like 5, 6, and he was 9, like like we knew what we were doing, and like we had such like clear goals, and it's just like it's been things that we wanted to do. Like we wanted to be on a label. We checked that off the list. We wanted to tour America, cross that
Right.
off the list. We wanted to tour Europe. We wanted to tour Japan. Like all these things that we wanted to do, and like the more we get to experience, like the wider our goal got. But we have like since we were little kids, we had things that we wanted to do, and it was just like work for it and like cross things off the list.
Yeah. Plus, it's probably advantageous not ending up a hockey player, man, because you get to keep all your teeth right where they're supposed to be. That's important.
Yeah, and my career can go longer than my early 30s.
Yeah. But that's but so you guys were born and raised in Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it a big deal over there? Hockey? Is that kind of one of the major sports over in Sweden?
Oh yeah, big time.
Huge,
That's
right?
like it's like the main sport. Yeah, that's what people are into.
And you were playing pretty competitively at a pretty high level.
Well, I was playing like through middle school, but you know what? Then music took over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I think Olaf was playing longer than I did, but yeah, it's just like when you get into like high school hockey, it gets really competitive. It needs you to have like the practices 3 times a week. It's just like being gone every weekend. I just chose music over hockey, and I am.
You needn't say more, man. I was the same way when I was young. Baseball, it was for me, and that was the path. That was the path. And then I get it. You start to get 14 or 15. All of a sudden, you're playing less and less. You're getting more lackadaisical about it. I know it in my instance. All of a sudden things pop up like girls and drinking and partying and all that stuff that doesn't keep you leading that disciplined lifestyle, because it really is a lifestyle to be an athlete. I give the credit to those guys. I mean, in any sport.
Yeah, it takes up a lot of time, and it doesn't work in competitive sports to have like also trying to be a professional musician, because that also takes the time practicing, rehearsing, like shows on the weekends. It's just like it's one or the other, and I would just happen to be better at music too, and that's what I could see my career going.
So what was the first music, your first recollection? What was the first music? And I always hate to word it with the dreaded, influence question or whatever, because I feel like most musicians have been asked that to death or whatever. But what was the first stuff that you really remember? Were your parents big music fans? Was there always music going on in the house? What was the first stuff that really got its hooks into you that you remember?
I mean, we grew up with like musical parents, and like my parents were in a folk band together, and me and my brother and my sister, they tagged along on these things. So I feel like naming the first influence, that would be like an infant age. It's hard to mention, and like growing up, like when we were home, when we were toddlers, there was always like, it was folk music, it was blues, it was like rock and roll. Like my dad was playing all these records all the time, and like a lot of the time he was copying like the vinyls on a cassette tape. So I remember like we couldn't run around the house because like the needle would drop and stuff like that.
Yeah, don't make that needle jump.
Yeah, because he wanted his record in mint condition, so he just like bought the record and then put it on a cassette and then never listened to it.
Took it very seriously, but of course, obviously, kudos to your parents though, because I think it certainly helps. When you're indoctrinated with music at a very early age, and you're growing up in a household where it's very very prevalent. I mean, it certainly has to help. Not being a musician myself. It's got to be one of those things where it gets kind of just ingrained into your soul, and probably at some point in life it just becomes like a natural segue.
Yeah, and then it's like when the musical awareness start, because like all this like toddler thing is just like, that's an influence that you have, but it's not like an active choice that you're doing to listen to that kind of music. And I think like the active choice, I think it's like I was really really into Batman when I was a kid. And like first time I saw Kiss, like the jump from Batman to Kiss is not very far, like seeing them on
Right.
stage. So
It's
I
not,
think
you're right.
I got hooked on Kiss from like the costumes and the makeup and the theatrical fit, like everyone else, you know.
Yeah.
And that like that was a gateway into music for me, like Batman Kiss music. That's like
Yeah.
how it was.
And that story, and it's funny you brought that up because, and again, big shout out to Kiss, because I talked to a lot of musicians on here, and no matter what genre of rock or music they play, it seems like Kiss is a lot of people's earliest memory and introduction in the band that people go to the most. And I think a lot of it has to do with more than just the music. Obviously, Kiss are not, virtuoso level players, and I don't think they've ever claimed to be or whatever, but it really is the pageantry and the performance and the showmanship. Yeah, how they branded themselves was really, really genius.
Yeah, I mean, that's like what, like, because you get hooked as a kid. I feel like to have a chance in like the industry, you need to like, at least back then, like now it's probably easier, but then you had to like be really good at something, and you had to start early, and like that's what caught kids, like the like it's just like a theatrical thing, like imagine like the 90s, like the indie pop and stuff like that. It's like, what kid gets hooked on that age? It's just like it was like the theatrical big productions, like yeah. And I was hooked on Kiss. Like Olaf was a little bit older when he got into that, and he heard Metallica for the first time. I remember my cousin was playing it, and he was just like, "Is this possible to be this heavy?" And I think his influence was that, like the very first awareness. But me was definitely Kiss, yeah.
And so the last album we got from you guys, full length album, was Zenith in 2019 from Enforcer, and you guys have since done a live album in there as well, which I was just listening to a little while ago, and is phenomenal. The production on it is phenomenal. When you guys go out on tour, though, like, what's your itinerary like when you tour? Because I'm assuming, people in the band have other obligations and families. And I know, hearing it from other musicians, that playing live and selling merch is paramount nowadays, with the situation that the music business is in. Are you guys the type of band that goes out and tours for weeks and months at a time? Or do you have to approach it kind of differently according to, to fit the parameters of your personal lives?
I like, we have obligations in terms of like we have other jobs. I score films. I also have a family, so we need to be like, we're trying to be really selective with the shows, and just do like important. We're going to Latin America in February, and it's just like, we've been there before, where we did like 4 or 5 weeks playing places in Brazil. And we're just like, but there's just like a handful of shows that are really good, so we're just going to do those, are the shows that are really good. And so we're trying to be really selective, like playing the festivals and the touring, just doing the good stuff, and trying to be because it's also like we want to have like our productions, we want to have like our sound and lighting guy, and it's just like it takes a little bit of a production, so it needs to be like a higher end concert or show for us to like accept the show. So and with that said, like it's hard to make like a band our size like a full-time gig. It's really, really, really hard. So
plus, it gets harder as you get older too, just to kind of like, when you've got more than yourself to take care of, just locking up the house and saying, all right, I'll be back in 6 months. I mean, it's not, it's not conducive to the family lifestyle as you get older in the music business. It's your job. It's still a priority, but other things kind of come into the fold, obviously,
Yeah. And speaking of Paramore, I have the original guitarist in Paramore in this house now.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's my brother-in-law. Yeah.
Really? That's your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So I'm interested about the scoring the films thing. How did you get into that?
That has been like just as long as like, I feel like the program music is like the music with visuals that started like also like Toddler Age started to explore how to make music that was bigger than just the music. And I started with like classical like music at an early age. Actually started playing the violin when I was like 3, 4 years old, uh, and just been interested in that all along, like, and been educating myself like all the way through like middle school, high school, and then like music college, and that has been like just as big of a passion all the way throughout my years as rock music has been. And I felt uh, like I've also been super interested in films, and being a film lover, being a music lover, it was just
Right.
like the perfect match for me to like start to work in that. And also I have so much like created in different musical fields. I have like world music, like classical music, like electronic music, folk music, everything. Uh, I can find a platform to explore all these things within the film music, and like also be able to tell stories, because like a lot of people that I was like also into music growing up, they went into like producing pop songs and stuff like that. And I was
Right.
like, well, I just can't tell my stories in like 3 minute like songs with like lyrics that
It's a small window.
has no depth. It's just like I'm looking for hooks. Like I want to explore something that's wider than that. So I I yeah, that was like a call for me to start doing that. So and
And is it harder to go into the studio and get together with the guys in the band and write an album, or harder to score a film?
I mean, they both have completely different challenges, and I'm trying to like wear different hats, where it's just like,
Right.
okay, this is what I'm doing now, and this is what I'm
Right.
focused on. Like writing an album is like completely different, like setup or whatever. Uh, and uh, so what is harder? It's different, because like when you write an album and you collaborate with other musicians, that's a very like then you have like equal as like ideas in terms of how the music should sound. But when you work in film, like the collaboration is between you and like a producer and director that might not
Right.
have like the same musical knowledge as you, so you talk in like a much more abstract level. And I think yeah, they both have different challenges, and I can't say one is harder than the like. I feel like it takes more knowledge within music to work with film, because the
Yeah.
variety is so wide, you know.
So when you're going to sit down to create music, you know, whether it's for Enforcer or any other projects you're doing, and you're going to actually write music, do you have a specific routine or a process, a room in the house you go to, a certain ambiance or a mood that you have to set? Or are you just somebody that can just, ideas just come in and you're just jotting stuff down throughout the day? I mean, like, what's your creative process like?
Yeah, knock on wood, like it comes to me constantly, like ideas and new, like, and it's not like always the same setting where ideas, but I sit and play a lot of music, and a lot of ideas come from just playing music. I sit and play the piano hours a day, you know. I sit and play like this, and I get inspiration, but I feel like a lot of inspiration comes from like out under running track, or like, you know, like when I'm doing something physical, it always comes like really like creative ideas how to do stuff, and then I sit down and like I nail down the song or like the idea once I come home. But that's like usually how I come up with like hooks, yeah, I don't know, like Take Me Out of This Nightmare or something like that. It's just like I wasn't sitting and playing something. I was just like dun, 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 dun. It's just like something that like came up in my head, and then we turned that into a song, you know.
Is there a time like when you ever like you know, I've written on and off like more like literary stuff over the course of my life or whatever. Do you ever get like the thunderbolt of an idea like in the middle of the night? Do you keep something handy like nearby to like jot it down with, or on your phone? I seem to get a lot of creative you know, spontaneous creative ideas sometimes like in the middle of the night.
I mean, I lay sleepless a lot of the time if I come up with an idea like right before bedtime.
Yeah.
That could be like I can't get this out of my head, and I mean, and I'm thinking that like, oh, I'm gonna remember it in the morning, but I never do. So yes, I need to like if I get an idea, I need to like I have my memos on my phone, and I'm like
Yeah.
using my falsetto voice, like whoo, like nailing the idea, and then I'm trying
Yeah.
to figure out, and then I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out the following day what I was actually saying. But
So
uh,
when you guys put out albums nowadays, has there been any talk amongst the band? Obviously, opinions are very they're varying right now amongst musical acts on the format to release music. Some bands are doing the singles thing. Some are doing the EP thing. Some are still dropping LPs on us. Going forward, does Enforcer have a stance on this, on how you're going to drop the music and how much you're going to be giving the listener at one time? Because this seems to be one of those things now where either people are hammering us over the head with singles, kind of keep their name relevant and keep keep a steady stream of stuff coming out.
yeah,
I think the attention span of people obviously is much shorter. People don't really sit and listen to an album start to finish, which is very sad. But has Enforcer, have you guys given this any thought, and how will you be releasing music, going forward?
it has been really, really hard to like navigate this
Yeah,
new era because
yeah,
like we've been experiencing like a new way, completely new way of consuming music, and I feel like
sure,
all artists adapting to this differently.
yeah,
And it's also like about knowing your like fan base, like who listens to your music.
mm,
And uh, we were talking for a while about like um, uh, that we should like, oh, we should only release singles or whatever, just to like keep the stream up and like equal attention to every song, because it's just like
right,
when you release an album on the streaming platform, it's just like the first 3-4 songs to get any sort of attention, and then like listeners like drop down like the further down like the track list to go. So it's just like, how do you get like people to get attention to all these single tracks? And
I
it's like,
know,
it's this idea to release singles, but then you get in conflict with the label, because the label wants to make an album because that's how they can like sell the album.
they
So
want more, yeah,
yeah, and they want to like in order to get like an advance to the band to produce the album, there needs to be like it needs to be an album. They won't just do it for singles. So it's like how do you navigate this as an artist or as a band, and like between like your fan base, like the new fan base, like the streaming numbers, and like keeping it relevant, and uh, and and um, and everyone involved. But it's a fact that people are migrating from like physical records to like streaming,
yeah,
even old school music, with like an old school fan base that still likes to listen to like LPs or CDs. I feel like metal is still a genre that still sells LPs and CDs in like comparison to pop music, where it's like streaming is your numbers. That's
right,
all you have. We still have uh like our fans still like physical releases, and for
yeah,
that we're very happy, because it's fun to make physical releases. It's fun
no,
to see your
no doubt, yeah,
to hold your cover. But at the same time, it's just like the streaming numbers is what like promoters look at, because they don't know like our sales statements for physical. So they would look at our like streaming numbers to like see if we're like relevant or whatever. So I would say it's really, really hard to navigate and balance all these things.
Is it hard? Is it hard? I go to a lot of on Google, I go to a lot of bands. Their Wikipedia page will always have the band members up, and then I come to the category of the dreaded ex members, which sometimes can be a laundry list of people that have played in a band. And in today's music world, it seems like it would be very hard slogging through the business and kind of keeping the morale up and kind of keeping everybody rowing in the same direction, so to speak, and want to be invested in a band, with the industry and the business having gotten so tough. You guys feel like you have a solid lineup in place and that everybody is fully on board? I know you just changed bass players, right? So Tobias is out, and we've got Garth in there now.
Yeah, we're on really good terms with like our the people, because like we're not only like band members, we're like childhood friends, all of us, and we grew up together. So like there's like there absolutely no hard feelings between any of the band members. It's just like making things work, and yeah, Garth came in and he's been playing with us and has been doing an amazing job. I started jamming with this band in Austin called Scorpion Child, and Garth was the bass player of Scorpion Child, and we were just like I feel like we were hitting it off like drums and bass like really, really well, and I enjoyed playing with him. And then there was like an opportunity. I think we were in the studio with Scorpion Child, and oh, Tobias is not in the band, who's going to play the next show? And I was like, hey, Garth, you want to come with me to Stockholm to play the show? And he was like, yeah, dude, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I feel like the fans of Force has been really supportive of him, because like he's been playing really well, and it's also like easier because like we're half based in the US and half based in Sweden, that like we can also get together and do some rehearsals and jam some drums and bass and get the beat down, you know.
So you mentioned, you are the drummer in Enforcer, but you are a multi instrumentalist. So how many different things do you play? You mentioned the piano. I'm assuming you probably play any fucking thing with strings on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I play a lot of things, and I don't count instruments. You know, it's just like whatever takes me to the final product, and yes, I do a lot of practicing on different instruments, but just like counting the amount of instruments that's not something I do. It's just like whatever. It's just like what the composition and the song is important, and whatever I have to do to get it there, I'll try to do. You know.
But what was your formal training on, though? Did you pick these instruments up a lot by ear and just by honing your skills on your own?
Well, I've been like have teacher in violin and piano and drums is what I've been having like formal lessons on. Yeah.
What are kids like in Sweden when you're a kid, a young boy, and you're taking the violin? Is that not looked at as like cool or rock and roll? I spoke to a gentleman on here who's in an American rock and roll band, and he started on the violin too. And he said, wasn't always easy being a little boy playing the violin.
I don't know. Never been a problem. Never been questioned.
No.
I started really early.
I love it.
But I migrated to like the drums, because that's where the rock music was. And I'm like, I lost the violin for several years. Like I stopped playing at like 11 or something like that. And then I took it up again at 22. So I did have like a long period of time where I weren't playing anything. And I feel like I missed out on a lot of opportunity. And that was like basically because I wanted to play, rock music but I'm happy that I that I took it up again, because that's not an easy thing after like 15 years,
you have to reacclimate yourself to an instrument. See, I always thought, when I was young, obviously kids are all into, you're playing air guitar in your room, or you're playing air drums or whatever. Like those are the most rock and roll, you know what I mean? When you're sitting having dreams about being a rock star or whatever. But now when I look back on my life, I really can appreciate those other instruments as you get older and your taste gets more eclectic. And the one I'm fascinated the most by is the piano. I mean, I know it wasn't always glamorous when you're a kid, and you don't think about sitting down and playing the piano. You can't bust it out around a campfire or take it with you and show off your skills or whatever. But it's really a fantastic instrument. If someone told me right now I could have the ability to play an instrument, I think I'd pick the piano.
Yeah, I mean, big time. Like, I never had that relationship to piano. Piano has always been to like my go-to instrument for anything, even though like starting to play rock music, because that's like how I could express myself. And I also been playing rock music on the piano. Like I've been playing like
That's cool.
like Little Richard stuff and Jerry Lee Lewis stuff. Like I've been into like the boogie rock and
Yeah,
roll piano, and for me
yeah,
that's just as much rock and roll as electric guitar, if not even more,
yeah. Well, we just lost the great Jerry Lee Lewis, like one of the great rock piano players of all time. I mean,
Yeah.
certainly somebody who harkens back to that, to that era that you're talking about. Do you find it easiest when you're going to sit down and write songs? Is that your go-to instrument to write on? Some people will write a song on a guitar or on a piano or on certain instruments. If you're going to compose one, do you like to use the piano the most?
I mean, it depends on the song. You can probably hear like what compositions are made on the piano. Like Mask of Red Death is obviously like such like
Yeah.
a piano piece.
Yes. Yeah.
Where like the rock songs like I don't know, like Undying Evil or something, it's just like, hammering it on a guitar. So it's just like, and I feel like what the instrument you start with kind of like affects where the composition is going a lot.
Sure.
But just to have that, like the difference between the two, or like picking up a different instrument can change the tone, and it can also change the sound, and it can change it in a good way. Like it gives color, and I think everything that gives diversity, gives color, gives identity. It's just is a good thing, especially if you make an album where it just needs to have different colors to stay interesting.
Right.
So I think it's good to have that variety, but again, like I would say that most like rock songs I like that I work on, I probably use the guitar because that's where it's going to end up being played. Like we don't have a piano in the band, so
right. So but primarily though, fans of Enforcer who identify with you as a member of Enforcer know you to be a drummer. So if I just focus on the drums, who are some guys, and again, I don't want to ask influences, but who are some guys who you look at as specifically drummers and just love what they do behind the kit? You got some guys in mind who are just like, you really stand up and pay attention when they're playing?
Buddy Rich, I always like Buddy Rich. I know
Amazing.
I always been like into the jazz guys, and like,
Sure.
and that's also like, I also been like I feel like the formal drum training has been in jazz, and I'm like, I'm not like, I get absolutely zero emotion of listening to metal drummers. Like it's just like, oh, impressive, but it's just like, it doesn't give me anything. It's just like, it's just like too robotic, mechanical.
Yeah.
It's just like, can't stand it. Like that's not what I like about drums. I like when drums feels when it's living, and jazz drums is living.
Good way to put it.
So yeah, I'd say that. I feel like there's like there's some like drummers that has that vibe, and if you and we'll use it in rock music, and I think that's how things get groovy and exciting.
As a so as a fan of music, if you're not playing and you just mentioned enjoying jazz, if you were to sit down and you've got some time throughout your day just to sit and just be a fan and listen to music, what would be like your go-tos? You mentioned jazz. I mean, if you want to sit down and relax to music, is that kind of the vein you're going in?
I mean, I think we're circling back to the beginning here, and that when we're talking about Forever and my I feel like a lot of the times I go to like, like the AORs, like the Boston Journey, like that's Def Leppard. Yeah, that really like in the end of the day, that's like what I just can't keep listening to. If I want to like go out for a drive, and go somewhere, that's what's on my radio,
I love that. It's got to pass the drive test, man. If I can get behind the wheel and fucking crank it up, and it's not really, I mean, and it does something to me, like, I feel like the car test is certainly a big one. Def Leppard, I'm glad you mentioned them. One of my favorite bands. Fantastic car music. I mean, everything by Def Leppard absolutely fucking rocks. So, basically, anything with that kind of 70s, 80s kind of arena rock feel.
Yeah, and also like a lot of melody, good vocal performances, dynamic arrangement. Kansas. Oh, yeah. There's a. I also like rock bands with keyboards in it. So especially like the grand piano in a rock setting, and it's definitely where I go. And I feel like if I'm if I'm at home, it's a lot of classical music and film scores and like a lot of John Williams,
Sure. Yeah.
um, and like other things in that vein. Uh, a lot of Disney music with my kid. She loves that. Like even like not only like the songs, but she loves the score music. She loves the
Yeah.
score music of Ratatouille
Yeah,
and
that's
Michael
awesome.
Giacchino's and stuff like that. So we listen to a lot of score.
And how old is she?
She's 4.5.
4.5 is the exact same age that my granddaughter's at right now. And she has, every time I pick her up, she commandeers my phone the minute she gets into the car. And she has her own separate playlist on Apple Music. A lot of it are songs that I've obviously introduced her to. She's not going to search these songs out on her own, but she definitely has a very good ear for music already at a young age and picks very quirky, interesting songs. Like to look at her playlist, it's just it's funny to look at a kid and see the way certain songs, like you think like, wow, she probably wouldn't like this song, but then all of a sudden she's playing it on repeat all the time. Though it's funny to see music and how it affects like young ears. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's a good like motivator to like play one of the songs in front of your kid. If she managed to hold keep the attention, then it's probably a good song. And if she zones out, maybe you should because like the attention span of a 4.5-year-old is probably similar to what attention span at like a teenager and adult is at Spotify with all this,
probably not far off.
No. So I feel like it needs to catch your attention.
We spoke a couple minutes ago about Def Leppard. As a drummer yourself, and us being fans of that band, when you see a guy like Rick Allen and what he's been able to do behind that kit with one arm, talk to me about how impressive that is. As someone who plays drums, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, I feel I need to also explain Def Leppard, since it would conflict to what I was saying about liking jazz drum performances. But I feel like that those Def Leppard's productions had so much dynamic in the layers that it doesn't do the metal mechanic fills and stuff like that. It's just keeping the beat, being really on it, and it's really groovy on its production. So that keeps my attention. Just to explain that, but I mean, yeah, it's unbelievable that that's even possible to lose an arm and to still have an active drumming career. I feel like I feel like it helped the band, because I've seen interviews with Joe Elliott, and he just doesn't like the drum virtuose fills and stuff like that. He wanted to have it just
they've been pretty public about saying that they thought that Rick actually was a better drummer afterwards, because he wasn't trying so hard, to put in all those stereotypical fills and all those different things that, are so typical, like you said, of rock songs. I mean, I think it forced him to think outside the box. Not that you want to lose an arm to be put in that situation, but, using his feet and what he's been able to accomplish is pretty crazy. And you're right about the production. I mean, those guys are obviously known perfectionist. I mean, but in between Pyromania and Hysteria, they took a long time to really get the songs right. And, I like that they have such pride and they're concerned about putting out such a high quality product to the fans too.
Yeah. And it's like a good song. It doesn't need impressive individual performances from musicians. It doesn't need that. A good song can be a good song and so on without that. Right. And I feel like he doesn't have anything to prove in his drumming. He's just doing his job and making the songs pop out, and the song is the center of your attention, because that's where the focus is. So I feel like that's why those songs really pop and stick with you. And also agreed. How beautiful manufactured the songs, and with the key changes, and it feels like when it hits the chorus, there's another chorus, and then there's another chorus up, and that. It's just I love that. People don't compose music like that.
And they don't oversaturate the songs with these, these endless guitar solos, even though they're a 2-guitar band. I mean, they don't just go on and on with the guitar solos. And one thing I like about them too is that they really are a band that can sing. You know what I mean? They harmonize very well together, and I don't think they get a lot of credit for that, though. You know what I mean? But they can really deliver, all of them vocally.
Yeah, they do that live. I feel a lot of the record things is Matt Long though. So. But they do sing really well live. That's true.
Yeah. So have there been any times when you've been out on the road at festivals? I don't know how much interaction you have with any of the people that actually star in any of the movies that you score, but have there been times when you've got the opportunity to meet anybody or be in the same room or get introduced to anybody that's really blown you away, where you've been maybe a little starstruck?
I feel like it happened a lot of times, but now I can't like remember exactly when that was. I feel like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
I just can't remember any specific moments, but I know that it's happened for sure.
So as I mentioned, 2019, you guys dropped Zenith. So what's next in the Enforcer camp? New album on the horizon?
Yeah, it's coming out in March, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we dropped the title yet, so I'm not going to say that to you.
Okay. No, keep that tight-lipped. I mean, you know, I think the problem with and I talked about this on here before, is that the internet almost allows us too much of a window into things sometimes. And I you know, I'm down for a little mystery once in a while, where I can't just go and just Google something and find out the answer immediately. Back in the old days, you know, I'm going to be 50 next month. Back in the old days, when you just had magazines and you had word of mouth, and when an album was coming out, you didn't know what the artwork was going to look like, or what songs were going to be on it, or what the title of it was going to be, until it was in the fucking store. You know, I mean,
yeah,
I like that.
And I feel like this is also going back to like the COVID. Like, we probably would have released this album like half a year ago, but it's just like the vinyl manufacturer, like the CD pressing manufacturer, are so backed up after the pandemic. So it's you need to, like, we finished this album like a long time ago, but it just like it needs to be set in like the
so
waiting list.
And so what's on the agenda for the Wikstrand clan over the holidays? You are visiting family up in the land of cheese and beer?
Yeah, I'm up in Wisconsin now with my parents-in-law, and my daughter is playing with her cousins. And
are you freezing your ass off there? Is it cold?
It was gonna drop down to like 5-6 degrees today, so it's gonna be it's gonna be cold. And
I'm not even gonna bellyache about upstate New York, because it as much as it gets cold and the weather gets we get inclement weather here. Wisconsin, up near the Great Lakes, there probably has more to cry in their soup about than we do down here in New York, because I'm sure it gets much more brutally cold up there.
Yeah, they got like the wind chills from the lake too. So
that absolutely does not help. Do you get back to do you have any family, or do you get back to Sweden at all ever?
Yeah, I was actually just there for a couple of weeks. I had 2 film premieres that I went to. So like I like the 1st of December, I was in Sweden. I was in Sweden for about 2 weeks. Then I went back to Texas. Yeah, it was weird because it was cold in Sweden, and then I went back to Texas, and I was like mowing my lawn, like in my shorts, and then I flew up here and it was super cold. I just got here like the day before yesterday.
So, any other projects, anything else you can tell us about? We mentioned Forever. Anything on the horizon with them? Anything notable coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working a lot with like sync licensing when it comes to Forever. Instead of like, I haven't actually any plans of releasing the album, because I've been doing sync licensing and trying to get so I've been getting the songs and movie trailers and ad campaigns, and I've been like so far really successful at that. So I got to do that for a little bit longer, and I feel like whenever that circle is done, I'll probably like release the full album. But it's been really great to like get to hear the music in other contexts, and that's what I'm saying. It's just like it's in a way film music. It's like soundtrack music, and that's why people have been liking to sync it to videos.
Do you like when you get labeled part of the new wave of traditional heavy metal? Do you think that's and I don't even want to get started because it drives me crazy with all the different genres and subgenres of music where you can't just be a rock band anymore. You've got to fit neatly into a little box, and there's all these different these little glib genres, like I said, and subgenres where they want to fit people into. But do you think that's a fair representation of what Enforcer is? Do you feel like you're playing traditional heavy metal? Because I think one of you guys were quoted somewhere is saying that, and I don't know who made the quote in the band, but that you guys that rock and roll or metal was not old school; it's timeless.
I think that's something my brother said early on in the career. I mean, I don't mind labeling whatever makes the people talk about music and makes the conversation engaging and whatever people want to talk, like how they want to phrase it. It doesn't, like, in the end of the day, like they can name it whatever, they can call it whatever, like as long as like people like to talk about music and if that's how they want to talk about it, that's fine. Like I don't mind either.
No press is bad press.
No, exactly. It's just like, maybe like, like, I mean, it's something that we were like maybe like talking about in the beginning when we first heard it, but like, you know what, it's like it makes people talk about it, so
sure,
it's a good thing.
I just want to ask you before we close here, the best piece of advice you've ever been given.
I wish it I don't know, it's That's a tough one.
It doesn't just got to be about music. It could be life advice, something that you've passed on to somebody that that you've kind of clung to.
Yeah, I mean, like follow your dreams. It sounds kind of pretentious, but it's just like it. Like
no, it's not.
But it's like if you have a vision, like don't give up. Like there's always a possibility.
Sure. Yeah, and
you need to work for it, and you need to find your way. And like find your voice to be heard in some context, and it might not always like work out the way you were thinking, but one way or another, if you keep going, like just like don't give up and follow your dreams.
I love that, man. I love that. And you are not in any way, shape, or form pursuing any DNA testing to have yourself linked as David Lee Roth's son, are you? Because you could be a strong candidate too. Because I am currently fighting that fight right now, as you can tell, and I don't need any other good-looking blonde guys trying to trying to carve out a piece of the David Lee Roth estate. I'm trying to get my hands on that money.
I don't think so, man.
You could make a claim, though. You could make a claim.
Yeah. No.
I mean, there's not a lot of us good-looking, super talented blonde guys walking around. There's only so many of us walking around. I mean.
Yeah.
I'm all front man over here, though. No instruments here. I'm just another pretty face.
I'll give it all to you. Like.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Listen, man, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, man. I really appreciate you being so generous with your time. Hopefully, maybe when the new album comes out, we can keep in touch and we can jump on here and do this again.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, I'd love that. And I've been in talks with your brother, so I'm eventually going to, get him on here as well. So I love what you guys are doing, man. I'm a fan. I'm a supporter. I implore anybody that's watching and listening to go check out Enforcer. First of all, great music and a fucking badass fucking name. Who comes up with Enforcer? You or your brother?
Brother, yeah.
Boy, kudos to him, man, because it is hard naming a band. I'll tell you, man. You could spend your whole career just trying to find a fucking name. It's not easy.
Yeah, people are struggling.
A good one, man. Shit, that's an ass-kicking name. Listen, man, I wish you guys all the success in the world, man. I hope you and the family have a fantastic holiday, man. And, thank you so much for coming on here, man. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. You enjoy your grandchildren.
Yeah, I will. Always. Jesus, there's always some combination of them here. There's two in the living room with my wife right now. They're what? You know what, man? They're a blessing, though. They really are, man. There's a certain, me and my wife get exhausted after they're all here, but then when they leave, there's like this, that life energy that they bring is kind of gone, though. Like our own kids are grown, so we kind of like, it's nice having grandkids because you can give them back to your actual kids, but they bring an energy. Yeah, there's fucking toys strewn all over the place, and there's a lot of picking up and messes and shit to deal with, man, but they just bring that certain energy that you can really feed off of and kind of keeps you young. It's nice being a young grandparent too.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome for you.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. Thank you so much, and have a nice holiday season, and I will talk to you into the new year, man.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Enjoy.
Thank you. Bye.
All
You
right, take it
too.
easy, brother. Later.
You too.
There he goes, folks. That is my main man, Jonas Wickstrand. Where do I start? Guy plays every fucking instrument, super talented. He might be maybe the second or third hardest working man in show business. I'd probably have to put him behind Pops and me, but I mean, you heard him right there. What doesn't the guy sit down and fucking play? Plus, he plays drums for a little heavy metal band called Enforcer. Their last album was 2019's Zenith, but they put out a live album since then, which is fucking kick ass. They've dropped a few singles. Go check them out on all the streaming platforms. He's also just done a album, a band that we heard him talking about called Forever, which is more 70s and 80s arena rock, kind of with some sci-fi themes in there. Really good shit. Do go check that out. Just implore you guys to go check out whatever that young man is doing. Mr. Jonas Wickstrand, kick-ass fucking musician, scoring films. Nothing the guy can't do. A lot like me. I relate. Keith, right? Very similar to what I do. Just the hardest working man in show business. One of the hardest working men in show business. So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode, man. And remember, take it easy. I thought maybe Keith would finish it for me. You know, you're really letting me down. I thought you would have a little more to interject in the show. Take it easy and keep it sleazy.